Welcome into WeAreSC. Welcome into Five Things. This is Erik McKinney, joined by Marc Kulkin and Greg Katz, and we are talking about USC's 50-49 win in Berkeley against the California Golden Bears. That was a wild one from before kickoff through halftime, fake halftime, second halftime, and then the second half all the way until the end. We'll give our five things here. And as always, we're going to start. Our first thing is our player of the game. Greg, we'll go to you. Who's the player of the game for you in this one?
Oh my goodness. There could be so many guys. I'm going to shoot for out of the ordinary. Okay. And it's just what I saw. So I'm probably not going to be having a lot of people going, that's a good one. Good job, Greg. I'm going to go with Bear Alexander, because I thought that when he entered the game in the second half, it changed everything. The push up front allowed the linebackers to really get into it. He harassed the quarterback. He changed the complexion of the Cal offensive line for the most part. It just gave a much different feel. And aside from all the heroics of everybody else, I thought he had a tremendous change for the third and fourth quarter, in my opinion.
Marc, your player of the game in this one.
Yeah, I want to agree with Greg. I'm sure he made a difference, but I don't know if he had much of an impact. I'm going to go with Marshawn Lloyd. Those runs were critical. They gave USC the lead when they needed it. And when you have an offense that looks as inconsistent as it is right now, and you have a running back that can do what he can do, you should probably lean on him a little bit more. So I'm going to go with Marshawn Lloyd. On offense. Defense, they made some plays, but I'm not willing to give anybody a player of the game from that side of the ball right now.
Greg, we talked about, right, in our four downs, we talked about Bear Alexander isn't going to play the first half. What does Cal do on the ground with him out? And the answer was whatever they wanted. Whatever they wanted on the ground.
Good way of putting it.
With Bear Alexander, with him out, they ran for 129 yards in the first quarter, which actually feels low looking at the stats. It felt like Jaden Ott ran for about 300 yards in the first quarter.
It wasn't 3 million. It wasn't 3 million.
and it stopped sort of when he was in. It did feel like he gave the defense life a little bit, and they could play, knowing that he was in there, they could play a little bit more aggressive. I would have loved to have seen a full game with him in to see what his impact, would have been. Would they have been able to shut it down a little bit more? It feels like the idea of the USC defense shutting anything down at this point is kind of a stretch.
Zero sacks.
This is now 1 sack in 3 games, and we can get to anything like that later on. Absolutely. But so to not go with you, because Marshawn Lloyd is the guy that jumps out for me offensively, but I'll say Eric Gentry, and I think it makes sense because, boy, he almost had a killer penalty at the end, and that feels like this whole team right now. You just can't have nice things. You can't have someone who's just good all game. Marshawn Lloyd almost had another costly fumble in this one. Like, everyone they still have those things where it's, if we could just stop doing this, then we'd be okay. And that's how Lincoln Riley really talked about this whole game and performance. And in a way it's true, but also this far into the season, this is what's coming out. This is what's coming out of the USC locker room every game. So Eric Gentry had a really incredible athletic interception, one hand pulling that in. He forced a fumble, a couple pass deflections. This was kind of the first time we've really seen him let loose and to go for the stretch of an entire game. It feels different when he's on the field. It's not perfect. He was on the field for some big Cal plays. Again, it's the USC defense. Everybody is, but I think he's a guy that made some key plays. It felt like last year's USC defense. giving up yards, all that stuff, but then you get a key turnover and it swings momentum a little bit, and it's just enough in that moment what you need defensively. All right, let's go to our second thing, play of the game. Greg, in a 50-49 game, there are a lot of plays. What's your play of the game in this
In my opinion, it was the last play of the game when Jalen Smith broke up the 2-point conversion, because everything else was the play of the game until that play of the game. And he defended it perfectly. He was almost looks like a defensive player in a basketball game, the way he batted the ball away perfectly. No pass interference. I think there was some question about one of the other receivers in the area might have, been interfered with. But when you look at the high point of the ball coming in, it was a great play at a great time. And that was my play of the game.
Mark, how about you? Your play of the game in this one?
Yeah, I think it has to be. I mean, that was the game winner right there. The other one, and they almost gave it away, was Tackett Curtis on that punt. He not only did he create the fumble, he recovered the fumble. Unfortunately, USC's offense gave the ball right back shortly thereafter. So again, like you said, Erik, there was a lot of individual good plays. So I'm sure we can all find one to choose from. You had Tackett Curtis, you had Jalen Smith. Let's just leave it at that.
How about Mario Williams recovering the onside kick? I mean, that's onside kicks over the last couple of years have been hold your breath. What's going to happen with this team? Again, to go a little bit different than those, because the Jalen Smith and really the coverage everywhere on that 2-point play, it sure didn't feel like that was option one to throw over there. But Eric Gentry, I think, jumped in front and had good coverage. Christian Roland Wallace on the opposite side. That seemed like maybe an early look for the Cal quarterback there. So everybody kind of coming together finally, because Cal had their number on the earlier 2-point play with a little bit of that trick play and the pitch back to the quarterback and then the throw. So to go with a different one, I'll say the Marshawn Lloyd run that set up the final Austin Jones touchdown there to put USC up ahead with what ended up being the winning points. That was something where, again, on the ground, and you like that they went to that went away from in the third quarter and then back to it a little bit more in the fourth. And when he gets that ball kind of in open space, he is really fun to watch as a running back. It's really fun to see him kind of get out and go. But if you're talking about Cal's plays, there are plenty to pick from, and it's another game where I don't know if USC comes out of there without all of the fumbles, the turnovers, all of that from the defense. A ton of key plays in this one. Let's go to our third thing. The expectation you had coming in that was met in this one. Greg, you see any of this coming?
Yes. In our 4-down segment, you asked me about numbers, and I think I gave you, I think it was 25 or 30 something in there. And I said, if Cal scores more than that, it's going to be a real slugfest. It's going to be difficult. Well, I was wrong. I didn't think that it'd be 49 points, right? So I have to apologize for that. But it's a bad expectation to say if they score more than 25 points or 30 points. I mean, this 50-49 business might be good for somebody who's just a college football fan watching it with no investment emotionally in it. But if you're covering USC or you're a fan of USC, it's excruciating. It's not the way USC football should be played. I like the victory. I could have written 5 different paragraphs about the game every twice a quarter. But in the end, it's still a victory. It's a win. But boy, I'll tell you what a hard way to make a living. I'll say that.
Mark, expectation coming into this one that was met for you?
That it was going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, we talked about this going before the game started. Erik, what was your prediction? 42-32. I had 45-35 USC. The fact that an Alex Grinch coach defense can make any no-named quarterback looked like a Heisman contender. It met my expectation. I mean, it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but I'm not. We saw it happen last week. You had a pig farmer that looked like a Heisman contender. Today, you had a quarterback that was recruited by Lehigh, Penn, Yale, and Cal. That's his recruiting offer. And he looked like the best quarterback on the field today. At a certain point, Lincoln Riley needs to suck it up and say, I need to do what's best for this team. Because he's getting embarrassed out there, and he can't keep coming into a press conference after the game saying, we're close, we're just one play away. If this player does that, and that player, we don't want to hear that anymore. That's the expectation. That's the expectation. We expect to hear that at the end of every game.
So the expectation I had was that Jaden Ott was going to get the ball a bunch, and he was going to be pretty good with it. And that is something that just is to be expected every week now, that you can know what the other team is going to do offensively, who they're going to target, how they're going to come into it. And there are going to be very few answers, especially this is a Cal team that had a week off, that had a bye week and was able to kind of ramp up a little bit going into this one. And Lincoln said they caught him with some wrinkles and some different stuff on both sides. And that is the expectation. Now, Washington's going to have stuff for him too. I mean, spoiler alert, right? I don't want to ruin anything.
Reach out there, Erik. Do reach out.
But next week, Washington's going to have some stuff too, and so we'll see how quickly USC can react, and if they can react at all. Again, Jaden Ott had 30 rushing yards in the second half after going bananas in the first quarter. It seemed like an injury that kept him out for a significant part of the fourth quarter. Cal was down. Its second string running back also
was running all over you.
I think they're down to their third string quarterback. This is kind of the expectation, is if you have someone that you want a newspaper story written about or something that nobody knows about, bring him off the bench and let him run up some yards and points against USC. That's an issue, especially when you know what's going to come in and you want to attack it and you're just kind of unable to do it. All right, let's go to our fourth thing here. The surprise. Greg, surprise for you in this.
I'll tell you what, this was the one I was waiting for. Here's a surprise. First of all, a minor pregame surprise. Oklahoma lost today. I'm sure that got the attention of all the Oklahoma fans.
Right now, I told you so. I told you.
You heard it from Mark. He told you so. Bottom line is it's incredible to think, as underwhelming as this team has been, as undisciplined as this team seems to be every week, as I hate to say it, poorly coached every week in one phase or the other, that here we are going into game 10 and they still command their own destiny to win the conference. Do I think they're going to win the conference? No. Would I be shocked out of my underwear if they beat Washington and Oregon? Absolutely. But they're here. And my point is for just the sake of not sitting there and saying, okay, it is over, the season could have been over after this game, we get one more week to see if Lincoln Riley can take out his sparklers and wave them around and see if there's something that can spark them, so we don't have to hear the same post-game comments. I would say gibberish if I wanted to be mean about it. But the bottom line is next week at the Coliseum, it's going to be full. They're going to be, I don't know what the odds makers will make this game. I mean, I'll be surprised if they don't make it a double digit, at least 10 points, but who knows? I mean, even Washington showed that they were vulnerable a week or so early. So I guess to shorten my comment here is I'm just surprised they're still in it to this point, but it makes it exciting and interesting to say the least.
Mark, you're surprised from this one?
That USC can score 50 points on offense and win by 1. That's just a freaky stat. How many times you score 50 points in a game and you're holding on to win? I'm not going to add anything to that.
I would like to just add this, not against, it's something Mark said, but I was watching Oregon, play Utah, and it was so decisive. So I don't want to say it was eye-opening, but the fact that Oregon did it in Utah, and I was rooting, going, boy, if Utah could just lose this game,
They did.
he could win, it would set up next week. So I was kind of pleased. I guess that was a non-surprise.
But we know this is not a good Utah team. We know a very good team goes in and beats this Utah team. It's kind of, Stanford was that for me.
A well-coached
a lot of
team
years.
beats Utah.
Yeah, Stanford was
A
that.
team with an offensive identity beats Utah.
Yeah, I mean that's it, right? That's a kind of team that shows you how flawed you are, or if you are kind of everyone together going straight through them. Again, Stanford was that for me for a long time. They showed you how well you were coached. If you were well coached, tough, and did everything right, you beat those teams. And that's what we saw when USC took on Utah this year, just all the flaws in terms of that. So my surprise in this one is that USC came back at the end when they were down after Notre Dame, after Utah. The way this one kind of played out to be down 14 in the fourth quarter, I'm surprised they found that and came back winning. I take that as a good sign that they're still playing hard, and you do have to, that you don't erase all of the issues. But credit where credit is due, that they played hard defensively. They
played
made
hard.
the plays that they needed to play, that they needed to do. And in a season where the fans are going out or out, I mean, have turned, right? Clearly, especially the more vocal ones, the ones we hear from a lot. And I don't think that they're wrong at all in all the issues.
They just want to see improvement.
But the team head down, kept going, fought all the way back, and that's not a game. I don't think a lot of us at that point in the game, fourth quarter down 14, with kind of the momentum the way it was going, had that pegged as a win. And
By
so,
the way, go ahead. I'm sorry, Erik.
I mean, it is that, like, some are they going to do this? Are they going to figure out how to get to Washington with a chance to do something here? It kind of like just stringing it on and on and on and on.
On that note, that's where I was going with. Washington 21, Stanford 19 with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. I don't know about that double-digit point spread next week, Greg.
Well,
who
knows?
Right
who
now.
knows?
And Lincoln is, look, he talked about last year's team when everyone thought, growing pains and we'll see. And he was all in on that team and they won. And this year he has been steadfast. If we play, things shake out. It's weird. Again, none of us are saying, oh, they got Washington in the bag, they're going to go beat Oregon, but they're going to go, and this team is still believing. And I don't know how many USC fans at various points in this game thought, oh, this team has it in them to fight back and play hard and finish winning that game. And they did.
Well, the good news to me is, Erik, I don't believe that this team, no matter what you think their ceiling is, I don't think they've played a game yet that has reached their ceiling. And it could come against Washington, maybe not against Oregon, but I think against Washington it could happen if they play a flawless game. They haven't played a flawless game all
Can't
year.
wait anymore.
Yeah,
Can't wait anymore.
Let's push that to the side.
Yeah.
Let's push that flawless to the
Yeah.
side and look for a complete game.
Yeah.
That would help.
All right. Let's wrap this up. Our fifth thing here, biggest takeaway. So this is looking at, right? So it's set now. Any kind of trap game, non-ranked team, whatever, those are gone. Now we've got it's Washington at the Coliseum, a trip to Autzen and Oregon, and then UCLA to finish out the regular season. So your biggest takeaway from this, again, a 1 point kind of nail biter, comeback, trading leads, win against Cal here. Greg, go ahead.
I guess my takeaway is they fight really hard. They're undisciplined, as we already know. So I don't know why I would call that a takeaway. I don't think it's a particularly smart team. And that all, as a coach, former coach, that's what really bothers me. These personal fouls just drive me up a wall, especially the position that they're in. But taking away is the fact of the matter is, since Mark provided us with an update score, I don't know what the end of it's going to be, but what happens if Washington actually did lose to Stanford? I mean, I think anything is possible. If you get late in the game, then you don't know if tight sphincters start showing up, and maybe Washington might come in with a loss, which maybe just muddies up how the final standings will be. But the takeaway is kind of like the surprise. They're there. This is the litmus test coming up. There's no more BS about, this, that, and the other thing. Put up or shut up. And I'm really saying this to USC fans. Look, I know how frustrated you are. We're all frustrated, but be there at the Coliseum. I know it's a sold out game, but I'm talking about people, seats and butts and seats. Make it the highlight of the season, because other than the UCLA game, that obviously takes care of itself. But this is a chance to really show the nation that the Coliseum can rock. And Pete Carroll proved that. So that's kind of my takeaway.
All right, Mark, your biggest takeaway from this one?
Same old, same old. I don't want to kick the horse too many times, but I really would anticipate a team going into its 9th game of the season to just show signs of improvement, and we're not seeing it. And that's the takeaway, is as hard as this team fights and they don't quit and they make individual plays, I'm trying to figure it out, put my finger on it. And I'm sure Coach Riley is as well, why these guys can't coalesce and come together, why it's always one side of the ball that just is not prepared to play that week. And today it was all three, kind of taking their turns to see how hard they can lose a game. Because that's kind of what it felt like. It's like, we're going to do everything we can to give this game away. Somehow or another, they found a way to win. So you give them credit for that. And that does start with the head coach that keeps him in there. They see him fighting out here, 10 minutes into halftime, trying to get that extra second to kick the field goal. But the team has to find it within themselves. They've got to figure out a way to say, all right, you know what? We're not playing for what we wanted to, but we've got to start playing as a team. And I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a bunch of players. You hear it in their answers after the game. Caleb Williams was asked about, the offense, and he immediately goes into, well, I had one bad game in my career, and I'm throwing 65%. And it just seems like there's a lot of individuality and not a lot of team going.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway is you shrug your shoulders and you say, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens next week. I mean, I don't know what this team, again, offensively, defensively, where you say we can do this really well and it's there all the time. Some plays kind of pop and you look and it's like, why did that work here and not here? And it's just kind of, that's what the team is. And Lincoln Riley, again, at the end says, we've got to figure out how to play at our best all the time in all 3 phases. And it's kind of like, yep. Yeah. That's the whole idea of this whole thing. And you are so far into the season now that it's here, right? All of the potential hiccups that you could have, you had the one non-conference loss that doesn't hurt you in the race. You had the conference loss that, because you can still deal other losses, keeps you in there. But this is it now, and you're up against it now. So I guess my biggest takeaway is that this is the last time I think that we have to hear kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit. And like, this is where it starts. This is where it starts for this team to put up or shut up. And again, you liked it. You liked the effort. you like kind of where the pieces that they have potentially out there. But that's it. I mean, that's the takeaway, is that this is the start of the season, and we're here, 9 games in, and we don't know. We still don't know a ton about this team, which is like mind blowing to me, that we thought we had a lot of answers at the beginning. We thought we knew, okay, they can do this well. They're going to struggle a little bit with this. But I don't know. And Lincoln Riley is never going to specifically kind of get into strategy or harpy the team or anything like that. But the thought is a little bit worrisome, that it's just, we got to go back. We got to keep doing what we're doing. We got to keep working. But again, the test is here. The test is here now, and we're going to find out everything I think we need to know, or at least confirm everything that we think about this team. But because of the talent, because of what's out there, and because of the way college football is, and teams going on the road, and these are not perfect elite machines all around the rest of college football either, SC's gonna have a shot with Washington coming in, and we'll all be kind of glued and really curious about how they come out next weekend. So the team is going to enjoy a 1-point win against Cal, 50-49. I don't know how much USC fans will enjoy it, but it's a win. It's a USC win on a weekend in not a game that's ending at 1 a.m. And so enjoy it a little bit. Go ahead and celebrate your Saturday and Sunday. But that's it for Greg Katz, for Marc Kulkin. This is Erik McKinney. Thank you. Oh yeah.
What does it say there?
Washington pushing it a little bit at the end here.
28.
Thank you for watching 5 Things. Thanks for watching. We are SC.